Mentalization is a creative process. It's not saying, I know what's wrong with you and this is what you need to do. It's saying, let's find a way of thinking about what's going on, and that together we can find something that could be better than what has been going on. It has to be something that is co-created, both with the families and with social care to some extent. That there is a creative process involved in finding a solution to difficulties. It's not something that's just handed down by an authority. That isn't going to give the parent the sense of agency unless they have been a participant in it. So it's essential that it's felt to be something that they own and have agency over in a creative way, rather than just being passive recipients of care.
We set up the unit with a number of meetings that have to be there, like 2 groups a week, 1 individual session a week, video work and so forth. Within that, if you like, quite loose structure, we very much want the parents to help us think about various aspects of the day and how they are, what they're for, and how they'd like them to be. And the reason for that is not just a kind of ideological idea about service user involvement, which I think it can be quite meaningless actually if it's just done in a rather bureaucratic way. The reason for it in my mind is to help parents really start to have a sense of agency, which is something that they've singularly lacked. They've lacked it since childhood actually. If you grow up in a family where your needs aren't thought about, things just happen, and things happen in a rather chaotic way, and they happen to you. You don't ever have that sense. If you think about a parent and a child playing together, and the parent's quite attuned to the child starts to feel that they have an influence over events, so that if they do one thing, something else will happen. This tends to be not the case for these parents, so that they've often grown up in quite neglectful households and so forth, so that they don't have a sense that they can influence their lives. And that carries on into adulthood until they're at the stage now when they may lose their children. So in a way, it's a really important part of the work here for parents to feel as if they've got some say in things. It also helps them to think about why they're doing things, because if you just impose a structure and say that's what you're here for, or that's what you're going to do today without even talking about why, then they don't get that sense of the meaning of things. So I think in a way the most powerful way in which we kind of work with parents is in recruitment, so that if we need to recruit a new therapist onto the unit, we do a basic long list of maybe 15 candidates, maybe 10 or 15 candidates, and then the parents interview them as a group. So the thing with that is that the parents think of the questions that they want to ask. So they're already thinking in their minds, what do we need? What do I need from a therapist? So one of the things they ask is, are you going to be able to stand up to us because we're horrible sometimes? And that's a really good question to ask, because actually it matters. And another question they ask is, are you going to stay? Because it's all about attachment, and they sort of know that. They don't want people who are just going to come here for 6 months and decide they don't like it and leave, because that's their experience of the way that people have been with them, both unofficial, in their relationships outside of professionals and in professional relationships. The act of questioning these people is one in which they have to think about what they need in relationships. So they do all that, and then they make a short list, and then we interview them separately, in usual individual interviews, but obviously with a service user here. So I think that they really do feel that they have a say in who comes to work here, and they really think about what they need.
Parents with personality disorders are typically isolated because they find it very difficult to sustain interpersonal relationships. And what they struggle with significantly is the ability to negotiate, to compromise in their relationships. So it's crucial really for parents to be alongside therapists, and indeed alongside each other, negotiating, making compromises, so something works for everybody in the community.
Yeah, but everyone had their own opinions what they wanted to do. It was like, And it wasn't just like, we're going to do this and that's it. We all had our input of what to do.
I didn't find the groups very beneficial neither, first of all. But when we said that we needed more structured, that was much better. And first of all, we used to have a story time as well in the mornings. And there was me and a couple of other mums said, well, it's not really point in doing the story time in the morning because, do you know what I mean, the kids get all up and they want to go and play now. So it's better to have it at the end of the day. So that we swapped that to the end of the day.